This is a recollection from my university days. After studying relentlessly to get into my dream university, I found myself struggling to keep up with the coursework, leaving me mentally and physically exhausted. The reality of university life was far from what I had envisioned, and I began to entertain thoughts of suicide at times. Realizing this was not a healthy mindset, I decided to take a break and booked a flight back to my hometown in Hokkaido. When I returned home, my mother was shocked to see how much weight I had lost in just 3 months since starting university. Without asking questions, she prepared a comfortable place for me to rest. Even my usually strict father, seeing my condition, offered words of support, urging me not to push myself too hard. After 2 days at home, I started to regret leaving my studies behind, even though it was an obsession. My mother reminded me that studying obsessively wouldn't make the content stick in my head. She suggested taking walks in the nearby woods to clear my mind. I began to appreciate the presence of my mother and realized I had forgotten even these small, precious emotions. The untouched forest I hadn't ventured into since my early elementary school years was still there, just as I remembered it. With a hint of nostalgia, I walked along the overgrown path. As I continued down the flat trail, flanked by tall, coniferous trees on either side, a solitary house suddenly appeared before me. It was unmistakably an abandoned house, with its deteriorating exterior and a thatched roof, a common sight in Hokkaido from days gone by. I couldn't help but wonder how I had forgotten about the existence of this seemingly abandoned house, despite traversing this path countless times during my childhood and playing with friends in these woods. Drawn inexplicably towards it, I approached the abandoned house. The sliding door at the entrance had long decayed, barely held together by a single hinge. I passed through it, my curiosity overwhelming me, and entered the house. Inside the entrance, to the right, a staircase led to the second floor, while to the left, a long corridor stretched with several sliding doors at the end. A dim, tarnished mirror hung above the earthen floor, reflecting my own presence. A decrepit pendulum clock hung from the staircase's post, astonishingly still ticking away. Its ticking somehow seemed to echo from a distant place. In retrospect, it was undoubtedly a powerful compulsion that drove me to climb the steep staircase, despite my normally timid disposition. As I ascended the steep stairs, the pounding of my heart and the ticking of the pendulum clock grew louder, almost like a warning in my ears. At the top of the staircase, I found a sliding door to my left, bathed in eerie sunlight from the right. All the surroundings seemed tinged with a yellowish hue, and it felt as if time had momentarily frozen in that spot. Despite the earlier warning not to open it, my hands involuntarily reached for the sliding door, pushing it aside. The room, covered in tatami mats, was surprisingly spacious. At the back of the room, before a small altar, a woman's portrait was displayed, surrounded by fruits and chrysanthemum flowers. The image was unmistakably of me, wearing my high school uniform, hair bowed in deep contemplation.